Right, it is December 29th, so we're in the middle, the lull between Christmas and New Year's. Temperature's about 8 degrees. We are looking at storms, another storm, probably a named storm, around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, so we've been getting a lot of them lately. We're looking at 40-50 mile per hour winds here, but that's just sort of setting the scene really for this winter. It's been very windy, a lot of storms, quite wet but fairly mild, but we are towards the end of the week. I don't know, after New Year's, sort of Thursday onwards, we're looking at some cooler nights as well, probably going to get some frosts. But let's get into the video. I was just going to do a sort of my personal top 5 on winter interest plants. So it's not going to be you need these plants in your garden, you know, these are the top 5 must-have plants. It's not about that, it's about my personal favourites that I wouldn't be without. Plants that I like all year round, but they sort of show up really well in winter when a lot of stuff dies off. So we're looking at sort of evergreen winter interest, so my personal favourites. But before we get into my 5 favourites, we'll do a couple which didn't make it to the list, but they're still pretty close. And we're not going to see this too well. We've got a Magnolia grandiflora here. So it's evergreen magnolia, deep green glossy leaves with the sort of brown underside. Always stands out, looks rather nice. And we've got the another one which is a nice evergreen, which I don't know, it's not shown up too well on camera, but it's acacia, the evergreen type. Nice, almost fern-like foliage on that. Not bad, but I think we'll go straight into my 5 favourites. So we'll start off with something small and common, but full of interest, definitely in the winter. Hellebores, and this is a particularly nice one because I like the leaves on this. I've got another one further up we'll have a look at as well, but yeah, obviously you get the winter flowering, and the interesting leaves. This one's not the best example, it's been a bit insect damage over the summer, but I mean they do come in all sort of shapes and sizes. We've got another couple of hellebores here. This might be a better example of the foliage, where they just interesting patterns on the leaves, and yeah, they do get quite big leaves as well. They're quite nice sturdy plants. This is this particular one is now sort of pushing out a load of flowers. Slightly different type here, more of a grey green one, almost sharp leaves, but they're not as dangerous as they look. They're not sharp as in stiff sharp, they just look serrated with the plain creamy green white flowers on them. So yeah, I definitely would recommend that in your garden. I certainly enjoy this. Is a good sort of ground cover plant all year round, but sort of comes into its own over winter with the flowering, and like I say, when everything else dies down around it, it does stand out. Right, so second plant on the top 5 gonna have to be a fatsia, and my personal favourite, the variegated fatsia. So we've got a few of these in the garden. There's not many plants I have multiples of, but yeah, my personal favourite. I just find that the leaves are not quite as deep green as the standard fatsia, but you know, the variegation makes it a bit more interesting. And this might just be me, but the leaves seem a little bit bigger on these than they are on the standard fatsias, or the plants I have in my garden specifically anyway. We'll have a look at one in the corner here, because that will lead us to the next plant as well. But again, just something that looks nice all year round, but again in winter when a lot of other stuff sort of dies down, just look good. And yeah, good sized leaves, plenty of interest on them. Obviously there are other types. We've got some camouflage about as well, some standard fatsias and the polycarpa, but I just find, for me, the variegation does pop on a dark winter day with that white variegation. So that's number 2 on the list. I'm very happy to have them in my garden. I definitely wouldn't be without. Right, so number 3 on the list really could be any palm tree, because they're all evergreen. Any sort of hardy palm, which looks good all year round, especially in the winter. We've got a few to choose from here. Obviously Phoenix canariensis, depending on where you are in the country. They always look good if you're in a milder part. Camrots humus, all good. Obviously Trachycarpus fortunei, all good. But for specific species, for me, something that just looks a little bit more exotic but still hardy, we've got the Chamaedorea radicalis here, and there are 2 types, truncan and non-truncan types. The non-truncan, which this happens to be the non-truncan, won't get as tall, but it's going to be a little bit hardier, because the truncan form obviously is going to be more susceptible to cold temperatures. Yeah, so I found that this is a pretty tough palm, and it just looks quite exotic, like I say. Commonly known as the hardy parlour palm. But yeah, just looks more exotic than a parlour palm. It's just a good all round solid. This happens to be a clump. This is not one individual plant, this is several. But yeah, for me, definitely one that shines out in the winter when like I say, a lot of stuff around where this is planted. There's a lot of bigger stuff around here during the summer, and in the winter that sort of just stands out to me. Alright, so number 4, we'll look at the Oleander. So this is maybe not one that many people grow. That is available. It can be pricey, but for me it looks a bit like a plumeria, which is a true tropical plant, and it's sort of nice flowers as well. This plant didn't flower for me this year. It had a couple of little flowers, but in general that's just a bit of a cool summer, so we didn't get too many flowers on it, but just a nice looking tropical shrub. Yeah, again, I'm sure a lot of you people who have got tropical style gardens have got these, but just a good all round. It will take a bit of damage. A couple of years back we had the cold winter, and some of the tips did die back. I just cut them back, and yeah, you do get plenty of new growth, and here they look good. Right, so we're looking at different textures and forms of plants in this specific top 5. So for colour in the winter, this is number 5. It's going to have to be Cordylines, and obviously a lot of you will be growing your standard Cordyline australis, the hardiest type, plain green, but very nice plant. There are lots of varieties obviously, but we can look at some of the more colourful ones. We've got a couple of examples here. We've got a Southern Splendour, which is almost like a light pink, and we've also got a coral Cordyline there, which is obviously a different shade of sort of pinky coral. Very, very nice. Just a pop of colour on a drab winter's day. They do tend to really stand out amongst a lot of the other greenery. I mean, a lot of stuff evergreen, you know, it's called evergreen for a reason, because most evergreen stuff is green, you know, hardier stuff. But yeah, just to have that pop of colour in the winter. And again, these aren't going to be that hardy, but they are very easy to protect. Just tie the fronds up and put a fleece bag over on the sub-zero nights, and really not too much of an issue. So I'll just finish up with probably one of my favourite Cordylines, because I just love the colour of it. So this is Salsa. So this is a similar to Charlie Boy, but a little bit deeper colour, and that really does add a pop of colour to a drab UK winter garden. Nothing says tropical like a colour like that to me personally. Right, so I mean, that being said, there's a lot of evergreens which I could have put on the list. You know, we've got a lot of pseudo-panics types. Again, standard fatsia is always good, cool. Another one that does stand out are some of the Acubas. So I've got a few Acuba japonicas, which are various states of spotted leaves. They do look quite exotic. They tend to remind me of crotons, house plants, which are very exotic and tropical looking. So we've got another pseudopanax here. That's the purpurea. But yeah, just something like this is always a good call. Just a nice looking plant on a drab day when a lot of the other stuff has died down. And of course I could go on with ferns, a lot of evergreen ferns, tree ferns, pretty much evergreen. Again, depending on wherever you are in the world, in the country. If you don't get too cold of winters, they're always a good bet as well. Right, so that is my top 10, no it isn't, it's my top 5 plants. So just a quick rundown again. So we'll look at the Hellebores for low foliage interest and flowers over winter. Fatsia, you know, with the big leaves, specifically the variegated one in this case is my particular favourite. Any palm really, they're all good, any hardy palm for winter interest. The Oleander, again just something a bit different foliage wise, and the Cordyline, whatever colour you like, they come in just about every colour you can imagine nowadays. Right, so there is a few winter interesting plants for you. Even though it's 8 degrees, it's a little bit chilly, it's a bit of a cool wind. Right, so that is what is going on in terms of my favourite plants over winter. The next video I'm going to do will probably be a look at some house plants which are a lot tougher than you think and would probably could survive outside for the winter if protected, or will definitely do well in a semi-heated greenhouse. When I say semi-heated, just kept frost free, and you'd be surprised how many house plants will be happy and just tick over with minimal effort. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.